Hi there, and welcome back to Saving Ophelia. I've been told that maybe I should start introducing myself at the start of these videos, so you guys know who I am. And I haven't done that since, about 20 episodes ago or so. But anyway, my name is Thijs, and I'm the one trying to save Ophelia. Ophelia being my 70-year-old German-built steel boat that's in a horrible condition, but she looks a lot worse than she is. And last time I had a look at why the engine wouldn't start, or randomly wouldn't start. And it turned out to be a compounding issue between a generator that's probably gone bad and some wiring that, I guess could have been done better, and that's down to me. Anyway, I pulled out that generator and we'll have a look at if it's actually that one that's causing the problems. And then, as you can see, we're in my workshop and I'll get some work done here for things needed on the boat. And hopefully I'll get some shots done on the boat as well, but that is kind of doubtful, I'm afraid. Don't worry, it's not a major disaster. She's still floating down in the harbor, but I'll get down to what the issue is later. For now, I think we should get started. So, this is what at least some of the hubbub was about last time. This is the generator of Ophelia. I have no clue what brand it is. I don't know how old it is. The only thing I really know is that when it's working, it's putting out 14 volts. And, that's it. I don't know how many amps either, just the 14 volts. Anyway, it used to work perfectly. The engine used to start whenever I told it to. And then it started acting up at some point. And last time I figured that when I measured through the positive and the negative, then I got a connection through the engine, and that really shouldn't happen. And when I disconnected the generator, then that connection disappeared. So, logic dictates that the problem is with this unit. But without it, I can't start the engine, so I might need to replace it. I could start the engine just off the battery, but this also works as a belt tensioner on the engine, and without it, the pump won't be running, and without the pump, then the engine won't be running for very long. So I'll need to have something else in place, and it should probably be a generator that's in place. So let's see. I'll be measuring some resistances through the engine because, I found some paths for current last time that really shouldn't be there. And for that, I'll be using this meter. No matter what I'd be measuring electrical, I would be using this meter, but it's quite good at measuring resistances. So I'll put it in the ohm setting. Here it doesn't really tell me how many ohms of resistance, but it will make a noise if there's a connection. See, if I do this, then we have this beeping sound. I don't know if you can hear it because the mic is currently recording me rather than the room noises, but anyway, let's see. The electrical connections are back here, and I think that this is the positive and this is the negative. Might be the other way around. Anyway, could possibly get a connection that way through if I measure this way, or if I measure the other way. There's nothing there. Anyway, that would have indicated a broken diode. That's kind of like a one-way valve for the electricity, and that should prevent the current flowing from the batteries into the generator instead of the other way around. But there's nothing there. And let's see if I can measure here and here. Nothing either. But thing is, when I measured on the engine block, I could measure a path, and the engine block is connected through this housing. And I think if I do this, then we have a connection. And let's see if I go for the other way around. No, only that way through. Oh, and this way as well. I don't know. It's not a very good connection, but it is there. and that's both the positive and negative. Oh yeah, there we have. This is the signal wire then. I guess that's for turning off the generator when the engine isn't running or when the engine is starting, but it doesn't really work. And yeah, then of course I wouldn't have a signal. But here, straight between the negative and the positive, and between the housing. So yeah, we have a short straight through the generator, and that would be causing the issues we saw the last time. I thought as much, so I've already gone ahead and ordered a replacement unit, but that turned out to be quite a bit of a debacle. Since I assumed that the problem was indeed the generator, I went ahead and ordered this as a replacement. Bosch has a reputation for fairly good quality, so there should be no worries about whether this will work or not. What got delivered though was this. Please note the stylish gash at the back and the homegrown paintwork. Yeah, either someone messed up pretty badly at the warehouse, or someone pretended to return the product they bought after replacing it with this antique. Either way, the state of the box should have been a tip-off, and the company refuses to send the product actually ordered before I return this one to them. That's not likely to be possible this week, and I'm still trying to reason with the company, but apparently customer service isn't really in their DNA. Anyway, since the electrics for the engine is the priority this week, it's unlikely that I'll be recording any video from Ophelia this time around. So, seeing that I'm unlikely to be able to do anything about the boat and the generator there, what I want to deal with this week is this thing. Yeah, this is the original control panel from Ophelia. Well, original, probably added in 92 or something. And it had the key here and a big, well, I don't know what you call it, tachometer, I guess, here in the center, and a lot of lights. And the thing was that the key was nowhere to be found on Ophelia. So we had to hotwire her when we had to start her the first time. That meant basically, well, ripping out all the wires from the ignition switch and then, well, just shorting them manually. And that wasn't something you could keep doing, so we installed some switches instead. And I think the only ones that I really need, well, are this one and this one. This one turns on the heating for the engine, and this one switches on the starter motor. One of these is supposed to turn on the entire power system for the boat, but that never really worked. And I think the other one was intended to, well, disengage the fuel flow and shut down the engine. So seeing that that isn't connected, we had to do that manually. But they are all wired on the back, so they all need to be engaged for the engine to turn on. And then well, yeah, that's one of the things I need to change, because it needs to be such that I don't need the heater to be engaged to turn the engine on, because, well, as you found out last time, that doesn't work anymore for some reason. Anyways, I want to build a new control panel instead. And I want to include this voltmeter that used to be in the main power panel on the boat, the one that I tore apart along with the chart table. I want that integrated, and I want this back working as well, because, well, I strictly speaking don't need to know how fast the engine is running. I can kind of hear it, but it would still be nice to have that one. So a new panel, and seeing that I'm not equipped to do any kind of metal work. Well, I could work aluminium here, but still, that's not really the workshop for that. So instead I'm going to build it out of wood, just like the new shore power control panel. And I will be building a box and mounting the panel on that, but I'll spare you the building of that box because you've already seen that. But what I'll be doing now is making the panel itself, and hopefully get around to fitting the meters and the buttons. At least that's the plan. This is not going to be my first attempt. I messed the first one up. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, indeed, it's here. That used to go onto here, and well, you can see I cut it off and I narrowed it down a bit in order to straighten this edge. And I'll repeat this, and this time without the mistakes. As you can see, there are a few asymmetries here, and I for some reason couldn't quite figure out how to divide this distance into 4 equidistant buttons. Yeah, really should be able to do that, and I can. Must have been a brain fart or something. Anyways, that's what's going to happen here. And the existing panel is somewhere along the line of 16 centimeters wide. So anything above that should be good. And it's 23 centimeters wide. So I'm thinking 25 will be just fine. So 25, and then I'll trim the edges so that these two are parallel. There we go. This yellow wonder will be used for cutting it, but as they say, safety third. So need to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. Yeah, it's not first, because if it's always first, then we won't be doing anything. Really should get some more light, because the light is kind of missing over here. But, well, that's not really a possibility right now. There we go. And now to trim the edges. I know that this edge is going to be very straight because I just cut it on that saw. So if we use that set-off point, there we go. Let's see. And let's trim that last one as well. Now, that should have squared that piece of wood up nicely. So, that should be a fairly decent starting point. And I think the one I messed up yesterday could actually be a useful template, because I did like the distance that these holes were from the edge, and there we go. And I also like the individual distances between those two holes, so that should be fine. Yeah, this isn't going to be really exact. It's just to mark up approximately where they should be. And I also need to take into account that, well, these gauges are square. They have a square lip on them at least. They aren't really that square. Why am I doing that? I could just, oh my goodness. Anyways, there we go. If I place this here, then I know the distance here and here, and the one here, here. That one should be the same up here. So let's see if I mark this up what I end up with. This is 7.5, 7.5. So this is actually quite square as well, which is good because I did have my doubts. It's just been lying around a bit. It's quite clever. If I loosen this, I can slide this rule along, and whenever I lock it up again, it locks very, very square. Quite handy tool. I didn't know I had it until yesterday. That's the thing when most of your the stuff in your workshop is inherited. Not entirely sure what you've got always. So I think I'm going with the temperature gauge down here and the pressure gauge up here, and then somewhere over here I want this voltmeter so I know the condition of the battery. Something along, well, see, we have this distance is 2 centimeters, then I want to come in 2 centimeters from this edge to around here. So that should more or less be the edge of the area, the roundness. So something along this line. That would be the voltmeter here. And then I think I'll split up the buttons. I want the main switch, which I will get working this time, somewhere up here, I think. And then 3 buttons down here. One for the heater. And then I want the starter somewhere around here. And then the shut-off one here. Now, they won't be placed exactly like this because, yeah, this is ugly. But that would be the general layout. And then this somewhere around here-ish, I think. The main one should probably go a bit to the left, but that's not going to be placed right now anyway. We have 11 centimeters between these, so that would be, well, 11 divided by 4. See, I'm not dividing by the number of buttons because I'll be dividing it into spaces. If we have the center of this button here, center of this one here, the center of this one here, so then we have 1, 2, 3, 4 equally long spaces. If I try to do anything other than that, then it's going to mess up, and that's what happened to me yesterday. For some reason, I just kept messing up the calculations. So these are the positions for the buttons. And then, well, I won't place this one up here yet because that depends quite a lot on where I place this one. But now I need to get drilling. I need to have some center marks for these holes because a hole saw will wander otherwise, and I don't want that. That would be the holes for the buttons. Well, I can see this one's a bit offset, but it won't matter much because these two are going to be, well, squarish, and this one's going to be round, so it doesn't show up. And now I need to find the center of these. There we go, that's those holes marked up. Now to drill them. There we go. So now, if I were drilling bigger holes and I wanted them to be nice without any kind of tear out, then I would drill a pilot hole like this, and then I would drill part way through with a bigger drill, an old hole, and then turn around and I'll drill the rest of the way from that side. Then I'm drilling from both sides, and that would give me a hole without any kind of tear out. Anyways, that's not where I'm at right now. Right now I want these cut out, and for that I'll be using this quite ordinary hole saw. I had a heck of a time taking it apart because, well, as I said, a lot of this is inherited, and this had been lying around for quite a bit, so it was slightly rusty. Pro tip, don't let your tools rust. It'll be kind of hard to get back in working order. Anyways, let's get cutting. Now, it might look like I know exactly where everything is because, well, I just turn around, find it, and then turn back to the workbench. Reality though, that's editing magic, because I spent, well, quite a long time looking for this, and well, it was right next to me, just didn't see it for some odd reason, but I just edited out that part. Well, I will edit out that part before you get around to seeing these recordings. Now, oh, there we go. That was the real one. Oh, then I need a battery. More editing magic. There we go. 3 big holes placed. Well, it looks okay. I might have to trim the edge or something because something's not exactly right here, but it'll work out, I guess. Let's see. 2 and a bit. And, well, same here. So it just doesn't look, which is another lesson, I guess. Always measure, then assume that your eye is telling you the truth, because it might very well not be. So now I need to have these 3 holes drilled out, and I need to be able to fit these switches through, and I'm not entirely certain that this drill, which is the biggest one I have on hand, will do the job, but I'm thinking I'll drill with this now, and if the switches don't fit, then I'll find a bigger drill and, well, improve the size of these holes. There we go. Well, you can't see it there. Let's get you over here for a better view of my mess and then of the workpiece. There we go. That looks fairly reasonable. Let's try putting this one in. Oh, there's a bit of edges that needs to be dealt with here, I think. Yeah. Anyways. There we go. A bit of force could solve that problem than this one here. Well, that doesn't look half bad, does it? Better with the switches in place, of course, but that's okay. In order to cut out the hole for the big device, the tachometer I believe, I drilled a series of holes along the outline and then connected those with a jigsaw. I then adjusted the final size of the hole, again with the jigsaw, although my router would probably have been a better tool for this. So I increased the size of these holes, and as you might see here, they're not exactly round. That's because I didn't have a drill that was big enough, so I did something you're not supposed to. I put the existing drill through the hole, and then I started moving the piece of wood around and bringing the drill back and forth a bit. And well, they're not exactly round, but the things will pass through now, I hope. So let's see. There we go. If that one fits through, then the other ones do as well. So while I was at it, I noticed something. Yeah, there's this fastening thing here, and that is just about as thick as the wood, as tall as the wood is thick. So I needed to do something about that. So I drilled out some of the wood here with a far bigger drill, and that should give me enough space to put the fastener in place. Yeah, not optimal, but it will work. With the wooden front panel done, the electrical side of things is next, but I think I'll stop here because, well, I can't fit everything into one episode. Either that or maybe I'm stumped and not completely done with the electrical part yet. Either way, I hope you'll tag along again next week, and if you made it this far, please leave a like, and also please click the subscribe button if you haven't already. Both things help this channel out quite a lot. Also, if you want to support this project more than you already do by watching these videos, you can do that by the usual means, by joining as a member, joining my Patreon, or sending a super thanks on the button below. Anyway, I hope I'll see you again next week. Until then.